Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming to the announcement of the Rhode Island Radio Hall of Fame class of 2017. I'm Debbie Rich, and I'm so excited to have some of our inductees here today. And I will now turn it over to John Coletto, who will get these things underway.
That was short and sweet. Before we get started, just as a reminder, the banquet this year is on Thursday night, May 4th at Twin River. And obviously, this is it's a great event for radios past and present all coming together. It's really turned into something very, very special people look forward to. And this is the 10th year, which is terrific. But we want to sell some tables. We want to get a lot of people there because it's a fundraiser for Special Olympics Rhode Island. That's why we're here today. We always are anxious to write them out a check with all of the proceeds once we pay for all the dinners and the photographer and all that stuff. So hopefully everybody who is an inductee will be able to round up all their friends and support their big night. So we put together this year's class, and it was a very enjoyable experience. We had an awful lot of terrific names to consider, and we finally whittled it down through the voting process and came up with this year's class, which is a terrific class, a very diverse class. The first person that is going to be honored, well, they're in no particular order, but Johnny Dowd, J-Bo Jones, who's not with us today, but some of you who go back to the 70s remember Johnny Dowd as a kid on JB 105. Johnny was there last year at the banquet because we honored JB 105. Currently, he's on WROR in Boston doing afternoon drive, and he also does a nationally syndicated show on Sirius. Johnny's been in radio for, 30, 40 years at this point. I mean, he was a kid on JB 105, wasn't he? He was young, but boy, he's had a wonderful career and certainly well-deserved to be an inductee into the Rhode Island Radio Hall of Fame. Also, coming in with this year's class is Roger LaLiberty. Roger is here with us today. He started out in 1957 at WWRI in West Warwick, and he's been on the air for many, many, many years on local radio, WON in Woonsocket and NRI, and he's done his French language program, and I want to get, there he is, Roger. Come on up here and say a few words in English if you don't mind. And, but congratulations to Roger LaLiberty.
Well, thank you very much. This is indeed a great honor. I am really humbled by this fact to be among such greats in the radio industry. It's been 60 years, and we're still chugging, still doing the show every weekend on NRI in Woonsocket. And, of course, we started in the Woonsocket area on ON. So it's a pleasure for me to be here today to be recognized by this organization, and certainly want to thank each and every one of you for this honor, and something we'll treasure for hopefully a long, long time to come. Thank you very much.
Next is Myrna Lamb. Myrna, of course, was a radio personality who started out on WPRO in the 80s, doing the astrology and giving advice, and ended up hitting it big time on the national scene. This press release says NBC, but I think we decided that she was on the ABC radio networks because it was Aaron Daniels, wasn't it, who brought her national? No, it was NBC. It was NBC? Okay. But she was nationally syndicated for many years, but she got her start in Providence Radio. Unfortunately, she passed away a couple of years ago, but we certainly are delighted to honor Myrna Lamb with her induction into the Rhode Island Radio Hall of Fame. And let's have Steve Cass say, you were very close to Myrna, say a couple of words on her behalf.
Thank you, Coach. Myrna actually started on HJJ with me back in the early 80s, and she did card readings and would tell you your prospective love life in the future and anything else you wanted to know about what was going to happen. I can remember the phone lines when she was on, absolutely, one day blew out the switchboard. She did an incredible job. Very, very bright, and we really miss her. She was quite a lady. Really, very sorry that she's not here with us. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Steve. Next is Tony Mascaro. Tony is currently the program director of WPRO. Again, someone who in his younger days was a jock on Pro FM and then ended up at WPLJ in New York with Tom and Mitch. He was music director, and now he is back in Rhode Island at the Bryan Shrine as program director of WPRO. A tremendous career for Tony Mascaro and still chugging along. Tony Mascaro. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks, John. Thank you, everyone. You know, as Roger said, it's I'm very humbled, and I thank you so much for this honor. It's wonderful to join the class of 2017, and I think the biggest thrill for me is to be inducted in with past members of a lot of people that I worked with, started with, some people that came after me, some before. A lot of you folks in this room I've worked with. We worked at Wampanoag Trail together at Bryan Broadcasting, so this is quite a thrill. For me to leave the market and for 17 years and then to be able to have come back to WPRO was the biggest thrill of my life. Typical Rhode Island, my first day back when I started there, we had a blizzard. So that kind of set the tone, but I'm very honored. I thank the Rhode Island Radio Hall of Fame and especially Rhode Island Special Olympics. It's a great cause and what we're going to be there for that night. I've been to a lot of these events. The banquet's tremendous, and you know, it's almost it's a radio TV reunion night where everybody kind of gets together and you see a lot of people that you haven't. But I've had a wonderful, fabulous, such an enjoyable career. It would take me forever to talk about all the wonderful things, so I'll do it that night. But I'm honored again, and I'm very excited to join the class of 2017. Thank you.
We played a lot of softball games together, haven't we? Congratulations, Tony. Next is Dick Rackavan, who was general manager of WPRO back in the mid-'70s and obviously had a tremendous career in radio in various places around the country. And what I'd like to do is have Holland Cook come up and say a few words on behalf of Dick Rackavan.
4 minutes.
Okay.
When he was station manager, Dick Rackavan named the building after salty brine. During the great blizzard of '78, we were trapped in there for 3 days, and the day after things got back to normal, Mr. Rackavan had a shower installed in the building. Better late than never. We lost him to the late, great Outlet Radio Group based in Providence, its smallest market. Outlet Radio owned stations in LA and Detroit and Philadelphia and Orlando and Washington, D.C. And when I had a chance to go manage the station in Washington, D.C., my friends in Rhode Island said, "Ooh, very impressive, you're going to Washington." But when you go to manage that particular station and they say, "Where are you from?" and you say Providence, they go, "Ooh, spy from the home office." Dick flew in from Chicago last year to toast me when I was honored to be inducted in the class of 2017. So I'll sure raise a glass for him on May 4.
And Frank Kingston Smith, who is one of the, well, going way back to the 60s, was part of the gang at WICE. He worked in Boston at WRKO, WHDH, WROR. And I'd like to have Deb Rich come up because I know you're not prepared, but you knew Frank very well. And Frank couldn't be here, but of course he'll be at the banquet. But couple of words about your pal Frank Kingston Smith.
Thank you. Hi, Frank got his start at the station in college at Penn State, and one of his mentors was Bob DiCarlo, who was here at WICE. And Bob brought Frank here to Providence and started his professional career here. And he went on to great things following here, including WABC. And one of the funny stories was I went to URI and it was at WRIU, but then when I transferred to a school in New Jersey at Montclair State, they said, oh, we're having our first meeting at the radio station, and we have this really great mentor coming, and he's going to be here tonight, and he works at WABC. So I'm the new kid on the block, and sure enough, Frank walks in the room, and I'm just sitting in the corner, and he says, Debbie, what are you doing here? I said, well, I go to school here now. And they all looked at me and said, you know him? What job do you want? I said, well, I want to be news director. And they said, okay, whatever you want. So that was because of Frank. But Frank went on to doing voiceover work, and he also became the announcer for many air shows. In fact, here at Quonset, and he was also the air show announcer during one of those major crashes where he had to guide all of the spectators away from the disaster, and he's really good in stressful situations. So he's honored to be inducted, and he plans to be here, and should be fun. Thank you.
Also, we have the Shepherd Award, which we created to really honor and salute someone who's a real radio pioneer. And in this case, this year's award goes to Maury Lowe. And Maury had a tremendous radio career way back in the day, going back to the 30s, 40s, 50s. His grandson, Scott Press, has a couple of words about his grandfather, Maury Lowe.
First of all, on behalf of my family and myself, I would like to thank the committee and the Rhode Island Broadcasting Hall of Fame for this inductee. Also, I'd like to mention two gentlemen that were his best friends, Mr. Fred Friendly and Mr. Ray Anderson. I'm sure you gentlemen and ladies know who I'm talking about. They would be very proud to see him be inducted into this Hall of Fame. Also, I can't think of a better organization, the Special Olympics, to sponsor this. Thank you, and see you on May 4th, I think it is.
Thank you, Scott. And we are also honoring our Station of the Year for 2017, and the award goes to iHeartRadio in Providence. They were very successful in a multi-station food drive, in which they put all their stations together and everybody's efforts, and it was just tremendous, and the results were tremendous. And so it was easy for us to name iHeartRadio, iHeartMedia as the Station of the Year. Rhonda Lapham, come on up and say a few words.
Thank you very much. I have to say, on behalf of the entire iHeartMedia family, we couldn't be more honored and humbled by this award. We really consider it to be a privilege to work with not only the food bank, but with so many other charities, and to really help inform the public of the various different needs that our community has. And we like to pair up with all of the various different charities all throughout the year. Of course, culminating in this large 33-hour, and I did say 33 hours, that's 33 hours straight of being on the air. Bill George, Andy Lamchek, our whole entire team. I sat with Bill George at 4 o'clock in the morning at an Ocean State parking lot. I think we were in Coventry. It was, what a wonderful experience that was. And then to be able to unload 3 completely full RIPTA buses filled with food that the community helped us collect over that 33-hour period of time was just simply amazing for us to see us dropping that off and working together as a team and working with the community. So again, thank you so very much for this wonderful honor. We truly appreciate it.
And we also are going to honor our legacy station of the year. And last year we did JB 105, and this year we're going to do WICE, the Great 1290. For those who are old enough to remember, back in the day, that was a high-energy top 40 rocker, AM, flamethrower in Providence as a top 40 station. And for those who remember, they had quite a presence in the market, and many of the DJs and news people and others associated with that station at that time, we've tried to reach out to as many of them as possible, including Frank Kingston Smith, who's also going to be inducted. But there are many, many, many names of a lot of DJs who got their starts at ICE and went on to greatness. So it's going to be a lot of fun to have a WICE reunion. So there it is. That's really what we have in store for the class of 2017 and the Rhode Island Radio Hall of Fame banquet, the 10th annual, on Thursday night, May 4th at Twin River. We have press releases, ticket information, and if you have any questions, certainly come up to myself or Deb, and we'll certainly take care of you. Thank you very much for coming, and if anybody wants any one-on-ones, I'm sure we can do that too as well. All right, thank you.